Your word is your spine. Without it, you cannot stand. A man can have strength in his body and still be weak inside. A man can have knowledge in his mind and still be useless in action. A man can have ambition in his heart and still collapse when it's time to execute. Why? Because his word means nothing, not to others, not to himself. And if you cannot trust your own word, you cannot trust your life. Everything begins there. Most men don't understand what a broken promise really is. They treat it like a small mistake, a minor slip, something you brush off and move on from. But your nervous system does not brush it off. Your mind does not forget. Your identity does not ignore it. Every broken promise is a fracture in the structure that holds you upright. You may not feel it immediately, but you will feel it later. It shows up as hesitation, as weakness, as low confidence, as quiet shame, as that heavy feeling in your chest when you're alone, and you know you're not living the way you claim. Men talk about confidence like it's a gift, like it's a personality trait you're born with. It's not. Confidence is built from evidence, and the first evidence you ever need is proof that you keep your word. Not your word to the world, your word to yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you will lie to everyone else sooner or later. Maybe not with your mouth, but with your behavior, with empty promises, with inconsistent action, with disappearing when pressure arrives. That is a man without a spine, and a man without a spine becomes a burden. He cannot lead, he cannot protect, he cannot build, he cannot carry weight, he cannot be relied on. He becomes reactive, he becomes emotional, he becomes a slave to circumstances, a slave to fatigue, a slave to mood, a slave to comfort, and you can call it whatever you want, but it is weakness. Now listen carefully. This message is not designed to make you feel good. It's designed to make you honest, because honesty is where strength begins. If your life isn't where it should be, you don't need more motivational speeches. You don't need more information. You don't need another plan you won't follow. You need to restore your spine, your word. The reason you feel stuck is because you've trained yourself to be unreliable. Day after day, you've made promises and broken them. I'll wake up early. I'll start training. I'll stop wasting time. I'll focus. I'll change. Then you don't. And every time you fail to follow through, you teach your mind a lesson. Your commands are optional. A man whose commands are optional is not a commander. He is a negotiator, a man constantly bargaining with weakness. That is not masculinity. Masculinity is law. Masculinity is standard. Masculinity is a man who does what he said he would do, especially when it's hard. Because anyone can keep a promise when it's convenient. Integrity begins when it costs you something. So I'm going to lay down principles, not soft advice, principles that rebuild a man from the inside. Principle 1. Your word is not a sound, it's a contract. When you say, I will, you are signing a contract with your own soul. Break it, and you don't just miss a task. You damage trust. Self-trust is everything. A man with no self-trust cannot build discipline, because discipline requires belief that your actions will follow your intention. Without self-trust, you live in doubt. You hesitate, you start and stop, you plan and postpone, you drift, and drift is how men die slowly. So understand the weight of your words. Every promise must be treated as a contract, small or big, it counts. Principle 2. Small betrayals create big weakness. Men don't collapse overnight. They collapse through small betrayals, a missed alarm, a skipped workout, a task delayed, a rule broken. Just this once. It feels small, but you are not just choosing a moment. You are training a pattern. Training works, always. If you practice quitting, you become a quitter. If you practice delay, you become a procrastinator. If you practice excuses, you become an excuse maker. If you practice discipline, you become disciplined. The actions are small, but the identity they create is massive. Principle 3. Confidence is the reward of kept promises. Stop trying to be confident. That's performance. Real confidence is quiet. It is built. It comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. When you keep promises under pressure, you become solid. That solidity makes you calm. And calm looks like confidence because it is. Confidence is not loud. Confidence does not shout. Confidence does not beg for validation. Confidence is a man who knows his own spine is strong. Principle 4. If you break your word to yourself, you will eventually break it to others. Maybe not in obvious ways, maybe not in dramatic lies, but it will show up. You will promise people things and fail to deliver. You will make commitments and cancel. You will let people down, and you'll wonder why relationships feel unstable. You'll wonder why people don't respect you. Respect begins with reliability. Reliability begins with integrity. Integrity begins with keeping your word when nobody would know you didn't. This is why private discipline matters more than public image. Your private life is where your spine is built. Principle 5. A man who talks too much usually does too little. Weak men announce plans because they want the feeling of progress without the work. They speak goals into the air so they can feel important. They want praise before proof. That is childish. A man with a spine moves quietly. He commits less and executes more. He does not need to tell the world he is disciplined. His life tells the world. If you want to rebuild your word, start by reducing your promises. Stop overcommitting. Stop making dramatic vows. Make fewer promises, but make them absolute. Principle 6. Integrity is doing the right thing after the feeling leaves. The excitement you feel when you decide to change is not character. It's emotion. Emotion is cheap. The real test happens the next morning, when you're tired. The real test happens when the workout feels heavy, when the work is boring, when no one is watching. That's where integrity is born. A man with integrity does not need the feeling to act. He acts because he said he would. Principle 7. Your word must become law. Most men treat their plans as suggestions. Maybe I'll train. I'll try. I hope. That language reveals weakness. A man who wants power speaks in laws. I train. I work. I execute. I keep my word. When you set a standard, you do not discuss it daily. You enforce it. This is why disciplined men appear different. Their minds are not filled with debate. They decided already. Law creates clarity. Clarity creates action. Principle 8. A spine is built through consistency, not intensity. Men love intensity because it feels heroic. They go hard for 3 days, then vanish for 2 weeks. That is not discipline. That is emotion. Discipline is boring. It is repetition. It is doing small, hard things daily. So rebuild your word with small promises. Choose one rule. 1. Wake up at a certain time. Train 20 minutes. Read 10 pages. Work 1 focused hour. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. Then do it every day until it becomes identity. You do not need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Principle 9. If you break a promise, correct immediately. A weak man breaks a promise and then spirals. He feels shame. Then he avoids. Then he escapes. Then he breaks more promises. That spiral becomes a lifestyle. A disciplined man breaks a promise and corrects immediately. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't dramatize it. He studies what happened. Where did I fail? What triggered it? What can I change? Then he tightens the system. He returns stronger. This is accountability. Accountability is not self-hatred. Accountability is self-respect. Principle 10. There must be consequences for disobedience. If you break your word and nothing happens, your word becomes meaningless. A father does not allow a child to disobey without correction. A commander does not allow a soldier to ignore orders without consequence. So if you want your word to become a law, you must enforce it. You break a rule, you remove a privilege. You miss training, you lose entertainment. You waste time, you add work. Not because you hate yourself, because you are training yourself. Training requires feedback. Consequences are feedback. Principle 11. Your spine determines your posture in life. A man with weak integrity carries himself like he is unsure. He avoids eye contact. He hesitates. He over-explains. He seeks approval. Because inside, he knows he is not solid. A man with a strong spine is different. He speaks less. He stands still. He makes decisions and follows through. He doesn't need to perform confidence because he has it. Spine creates presence. Presence creates respect. Principle 12. Men are tested in silence. The world applauds loud victories, but real character is built where nobody sees. In the morning, when the alarm hits. At night, when temptation appears. In the moment when you could cheat and no one would know. Those are the moments that define you. Because those are the moments when you reveal who you are without an audience. A man with a spine passes those tests, not because he is perfect, because he is governed. Principle 13. Your family will live under your integrity. Even if you are single, understand this. One day you may lead a home, and your home will reflect your discipline. A man who breaks his word creates instability. Instability creates anxiety in a household. Children need reliability. A partner needs follow-through. They do not need grand speeches. They need consistency. Your word becomes shelter, or it becomes chaos. So build it now, before others depend on it. Principle 14. Integrity makes you dangerous in the right way. A man with integrity is dangerous to manipulation. He cannot be bribed by comfort. He cannot be controlled by fear. He cannot be swayed by approval. Because he has a code. He has standards. He is predictable in the best way. He will do what is right, not what is easy. That is power. Quiet power. And quiet power is the kind that lasts. Principle 15. Your word is your legacy. Legacy is not built in grand moments. It is built in repeated follow-through. Years of doing what you said you would do. Years of keeping your word. Years of being reliable. That creates a reputation that outlives you. People remember the man who kept his word. They also remember the man who didn't. Now I want you to understand the deeper truth. When you break your word, you don't just lose a task. You lose part of your identity. That's why it hurts. That's why there is shame. Shame is not always an enemy. Sometimes shame is a signal that you are living beneath your standard. The answer is not to numb that signal. The answer is to correct, to rise, to rebuild. So here is the practical path, and it is simple. First, Stop promising what you will not deliver. If you are not ready to commit, stay silent. Better to say nothing and execute than to speak and fail. Second, choose one daily promise and keep it for 30 days. 1, not 5, not 10. 1. Your mind needs proof that you are reliable again. Third, remove negotiation. When it is time to act, act. No meeting, no debate, no delay. Fourth, build consequences. Break your word. Lose a privilege. Keep your word. Earn respect. Fifth, once your spine is rebuilt, expand slowly. Add a second promise, then a third. Over time, you become a man whose word is law, and that is what changes everything. Because once you can trust yourself, you stop being afraid of life. You stop fearing hard tasks because you know you will do them. You stop fearing pressure because you know you will stand. You stop fearing the future because you know you will build it. A man with a spine is not fearless. He is reliable, and reliability defeats fear. Now let me speak to the man who feels regret, the man who knows he has broken his word too many times. Listen. Your past does not decide your future unless you keep repeating it. You can rebuild, but not with speeches, with proof. Proof comes from small daily wins. You do not need to impress anyone. You need to become trustworthy to yourself again. That is the battle, and it is a battle worth fighting, because the reward is something most men never achieve: self-respect. The ability to look in the mirror and feel clean. Not perfect, clean. Because you know you did what you said you would do. So, here is the final truth. A man can lose money and recover. A man can lose status and rebuild. A man can lose relationships and learn. But a man who loses his word loses everything, because his word is the foundation of all construction. No spine, no structure. So strengthen it, starting now. Decide one promise you will keep tomorrow, then keep it, no matter how you feel, because your feelings are not your leader. Your word is your spine. And when your spine is strong, you stand tall in every storm.